Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it is our favorite time of the week because there are new knives in front of me. They're the coolest that have just hit our shelves, and we're going to check them out. All right, first thing this week, big new release earlier, a couple days ago, or yesterday in fact, if we're going by when this video posts, the Demko Shark Cub. It is a new, smaller spin-off of the 20.5, which itself was just a smaller version of the AD20. So that is its lineage. And 2 3/4 inch blade on these, aluminum handles in black, 20 CV steel on that blade, and the price on these just under $200, and it brings that shark lock to a more compact, more slicey variant than ever before. Very cool little knife. We do have the shark's foot blade, the sheep's foot style blade there, which very clearly carries the style of the original models. We've got a clip point blade, and unlike the clip point blade on the 20.5, this is not a 1/4 inch bigger than the shark's foot. All of these blades are 2 3/4, and a little bit of a modification to the clip point shape there to help it suit the smaller size. And then we've got the drop point, or the slicer shark version as well, which I like. You folks know I'm a drop point person. This is almost a spear point, maybe not quite, but really cool little blade shape. The handles fit really well. In a way, this was kind of designed first and foremost to be this size, whereas the 20.5 was kind of a scaled down version of a larger knife. And as such, I think the ergonomics on this knife are just, a few percentage points better, in my opinion. You can still get, quite honestly, a full feeling grip, even though it's only a 3.5 finger length for me with my slightly larger than average sized hands. But it feels very secure. I like the texture of the aluminum there. It's got kind of that matte feeling. It's not slick or slippery. Very, very nice. The blade thickness there, as you can see, sits firmly on the thinner, slicier side. It doesn't get a full flat grind, so it could be slicier, but you would be giving up a little bit of strength there. Good compromise, in my opinion. I like what the efficiency looks like it'll be on this blade. Deep carry pocket clip for the first time right out of the box compared to the 20.5s, and it is reversible, so lefties and righties, no problem. Same thing with that shark lock. Pull that backwards and you can swing that blade closed, no problem, while keeping your fingers out of the way, which is very nice. Swings open just as easily. Then of course you can use the blade cutout if you'd rather thumb open it. Just a really well executed smaller version, and I kind of like it better than the 20.5 personally. May wind up picking up one of these slicer shark versions for myself. Feels great, fantastic, compact, everyday carry. Still feels strong. Still feels like it's going to last. 20 CV, of course, going to give you some really good edge retention too. Better than the S35 on the 20.5s, which I think is the only particle metallurgy stainless right now in the series, unless I'm forgetting about something.
Been a lot.
There haven't been a lot. Well, there haven't been a lot of particle stainlesses on the series, but there have been other particle steels. Anyway.
A lot of Demkos.
A lot of Demkos, that's true. Let's go to another mini version of a knife, CJRB. Their Pyrite has been very popular, and this is now the mini Pyrite. Interestingly, and perhaps somewhat frustratingly to me, this is the Pyrite Alt's blade shape rather than the drop point of the original Pyrite, but the handle is that Pyrite shape scaled down. So I kind of feel like they should have called this the mini Pyrite Alt, but they're calling it the mini Pyrite. $46 for these, several different aluminum color options. Pink here, as you can see, but also kind of a forest green, which we'll see on another model here in a second, as well as a blue and a black, I think is the selection right now. You can check the link in the description to see everything that's available. But it carries over the button lock mechanism from the Pyrite. It carries over the reversible deep carry pocket clip. The coloration here gives them an opportunity to do something cool with that lanyard hole. As you can see, it carries a contrasting color. The button lock action still works fine. May have to swing it a little bit differently because there's less mass in the blade to get moving. So if it loses its steam, as you saw there for a second, I had to go through that a little bit. Really cool little blade shape. Also, like the Shark Cub, sits on the slicier, thinner side, especially with the high flat grind here. Really cool kind of utility knife. As consider this kind of an upgraded alternative to a box cutter. It's got that same kind of vibes, but you're gonna be able to sharpen it up and reuse it instead of throwing it away. RPM 9 steel here, particle metallurgy stainless. It's gonna give you some really good edge retention and decent enough toughness at least, especially in this budget price range. You don't see many particle steels at all for just $46. This is gonna perform quite nicely. The next knife, which you saw there, is called the Mica. And furthering my frustrations just a little bit is this is kind of the original Pyrite's blade shape scaled down, but the handle is something new. As you can see, it's not that kind of typical Pyrite shape there. Whatever. It's called the Mica. It's also $46. Same kind of construction here. Aluminum. Interestingly, and we're gonna take this one out of stock as a defect because it does have the contrasting lanyard hole here, but this one seems to be missing it. So we'll get that taken care of. Don't worry about it. We'll check the others too to try and make sure that we don't have any of these on the shelves. 2.36 inches on the blade length compared to 2.17 on the mini Pyrite that we just looked at. Sharpened edge on the two of them. The drop point is going to give you a little more actual sharpened edge, and a tiny bit more sharpened length if you're just measuring a straight line front to back as well. Drop point, slicey enough, high flat grind, very cool. Same thing there with the button lock. You've also got thumb studs here rather than the blade cutout. This is my smaller handed folks might do better with this, but I feel like this is kind of slipping forward for my slightly larger than average sized hands. It doesn't have the same kind of matte texture that the Demko there does. It's a little bit on the slicker side, so keep that in mind. RPM 9 steel here as well. Next, onto one of my actually favorite knives of the year, especially on the more affordable side of things. We showed this in our best new knives of the year being budget knives video earlier this week, and that is the Resource. Just in case you didn't see that video, I wanted to show this again. 4.2 inch blade, RPM 9 steel. We already talked about why that's a good thing. Generous sized handles. Even if you've got big hands, there's plenty of length here. You got enough finger guard protection to keep yourself from sliding forward onto the edge, yet it's not obtrusive. It doesn't get in the way of finer grips. It's G10 with kind of a stepped milling around the sides. Feels comfortable enough. Full length liners for strength and the liner lock. Ball bearings in the pivot with thumb studs or that dual fuller, which you could also open with. You could also do that reverse flick thing with. Slicey, it's certainly strong enough. It's, think of that's kind of like kitchen knife thickness there with a decently high grind with a flat geometry on it. It's gonna stand up to some bigger cuts, but it's not gonna get in its own way. It's still gonna be plenty efficient in the slicing. $70 for all of this knife. Really, really good value. I mean, it's tons of blade there. 4.2 inches just about, like I said. Works great for bigger cuts. I've used it for a bit of food prep, slicing up fruits especially. Works great for something like that. I haven't used this one, I have another one I've been using, so. Really cool. Reversible pocket clip, no, but positions there for the alternate pocket clip that's included in the package. So there you go. Check that bad boy out. Next up, we've actually recently added the modern folders from the RoseCraft lineup to our selection. And I wanted to show one right here, especially coming up onto gifting season, which I think is pretty compelling. This is called the Barra. It is a Swags design, and the price on it's like $57. So not cheap, but certainly quite attainable. 3.4 inches on the blade. Interestingly, these are made by CJRB, or more appropriately, maybe their parent company, which is Artisan Cutlery. And as such, we have an RPM 9 blade here as well. So that's very cool. Stone-washed finish as well, a good working finish. Red G10 is an option, as is blue G10, as is black G10, and that comes with a black blade. But it combines that great classic usable blade, great length, great geometry, with a pry bar on the end. You don't see a ton of that, and a lot of the ones you do, like the Kershaw Shuffle comes to mind, it's a lot smaller of a knife. But you have a nice, robust pry tip there that also includes this cutout, which will work as a bottle opener and will turn standard quarter-inch driver bits as well. Pretty cool. We have a reversible clip. It does come pocketed into the scales a little bit, and the screw heads are not perfectly flush, but they sit just a tiny bit above. I don't see that being a potential snag point though. It is reversible. If I didn't mention that already, it's not quite deep carry because you do have the pry bar sticking out the back. Let's check out the action. See, we have ball bearings in this. Yes, we do. Flicks great. Cool knife, cool concept. Next, kind of a similar long, narrow blade. And this knife fits firmly into the executive knife category. The CRKT Stylus, which was available currently with an aluminum handle and assisted opening blade, is now available in a much more premium, non-assisted version right here. 195 bucks for this Ken Onion design. You've got S35, S35 VN blade steel, 3.2 inches. Really nice horizontal grain to keep things looking nice and classy. Very cool blade shape. It looks simple, but it's kind of deceptively so. There's just this little detail where the jimping drops down to meet the actual line of the spine that gives it a little bit of character, which is pretty nice. The handles are titanium, have that same kind of signature shape of the custom styluses, or would that be styli?
Stylum?
Stylum? Might be stylum. Latin...
Stesis.
Latin aficionados, correct me if we're wrong. Correct me because we're wrong, is what I should say. Usually. Flipping action, ball bearings, non-assisted. Like I said, this is a manual flipping knife. Awesome. It feels fantastic. We've got a folded clip, but a kind of milled pedestal for it to sit on the back right there. Really, really cool knife. I'm really glad to see CRKT continuing to take some of my personal favorite designs in their lineup and offering an upscale alternative for the folks that want the higher performance, want the higher degrees of fit and finish as well. Limited, in this case though, it is a 500-piece run. Interestingly, in the box there's a piece of paper that says it's a 1,000-piece run. We did check with CRKT to make sure, and that is a typo in the actual paper included in the box. So 500-piece run. Don't wait too long. If it looks interesting to you, feels great, man. It's nimble. It's ready to go. Very cool.
Maybe they just printed 1,000 pieces of paper.
Yeah.
So they'll have spares.
I'm done. I have no response to that. Jack Wolf. That's my response to that. The Little Bro Jack is coming out tomorrow, the Friday after this video posts. Little Bro Jack. Several inlay versions, as is typical. This one is the Crystal Lake Kieranite version. Kieranite's a cool material. It's basically, you can kind of think of it as like a poured acrylic type of thing. Looks beautiful, as mentioned, and you don't often see it on more modern knives. And even though this is, a quote-unquote old school slip joint, it's not really built like an old school slip joint. It's built, with more modern considerations like screw together construction, titanium handles with integrated bolsters, super steel, S90V, tons of edge retention, 2.7 inches long, full height hollow grind, keeping the edge itself super thin and very, very slicey. That's cool. Come on. And we already listened to the action. Feels so good. It's taut. It snaps exactly where you'd want it to. It's built to work. Other handle versions that are available, if you'd like to lean more into the kind of classic old school, there is a wood-handled version with rosewood, actually. It's interesting. We had RoseCraft here a second ago. On top of that, is that the only wood option? Yeah, there's a dark matter fat carbon, a Flow Party camo carbon, and a Nebula fat carbon also joining the selection this time around. All of them priced just under 300 bucks. You get the knife, and of course, you get their packaging, which is, you know, part and parcel to the collectability of these series. Each new knife has its own custom artwork. Here you've got the Big Jack Wolf and the Little Bro, which I didn't talk about that. I love what Jack Wolf Knives does with their naming conventions. They take something that's kind of inspired by the classic slip joint pattern that inspired their new model. And the Little Bro Jack is inspired by like the classic boy's knife size and format. Single blade, clip point in this case. So that's a cool thing, the Little Bro Jack. But anyway, you've got your aluminum tube with the custom artwork. It unscrews, and on the inside, you've got the collectible cardboard disc, which is also known as a POG, of course, with that custom artwork on it and the logo on the back. You get a sticker, you get a leather pocket slip, you get a microfiber towel as well. Makes a really great display kind of sitting behind the knife if you want to do that. But if you want to use the knife, man, is it built to use. Great steel, great geometry, nice snappy retention from the back spring there to keep it from closing too easily inadvertently. It's fantastic option if you like the classic slip joint style of cutting experience, but you want something more modern. These guys are doing great. Next, Finch Knife Company. Kind of also takes classically inspired aesthetics, but typically in locking format, not slip joints. This is the RUNTLY XL. Not quite a classic pattern, but you can see more of kind of like old school design aesthetics, you know, creeping into the modern feel of these. $249 with this M390 steel. First time I can remember seeing M390 on one of their knives. Definitely a step up from the 154 CM that they often offer on their more affordable models. But this is a big old chunk of M390. Great for long lasting edges and of course being quite stainless as well. Two-tone finish, you've got a vertical or a horizontal satin grain on the flats, and on the grinds, which are flat by the way, you have a stone-washed finish. We've got titanium bolsters integral with the handle itself rather than stainless steel. So instead of carrying that horizontal grain into the stainless steel parts, they've left it more of a matte finish on the titanium. And what is this? Blue swirl carbon fiber, or sorry, fat carbon. Also available right now for same price? Yes, same price. We've got a black weave carbon fiber and a natural micarta if you want something a little more, I don't want to say like it more normal. It's just that, you know, fat carbon is more exotic at this point, but you've got that. Very cool. Milled titanium pocket clip, frame locking, as you can see, ball bearings in the pivot, and great flipping action for such a massive blade. Very, very cool indeed. Next up, Tactile Knife Company, or yes, Tactile Knife Company, because this is a knife. A new version of the Richard Rogers designed Maverick folder. It's a 3.5-inch MagnaCut blade with a black DLC coating and milled and contoured titanium handles. Everything else also black DLC coated. $449 for these versions. The handles themselves on this model are kept pretty slim, and then when they are milled down into the contour, it makes them even slimmer. So this is not quite what I think of or what I would reach for like a big, heavy working knife. This is more of, you want the blade length here to make longer and more efficient cuts, but you don't want the associated bulk. This is a kind of a classier, more refined everyday carry as opposed to more brute force. Still feels decently comfortable, if not hand-filling, but you get nimbleness as a trade-off. Blade steel itself kept on the thinner side, high flat grind, it's going to slice great. Pocket clip is right side tip up only in this case, non-reversible, but the locking mechanism, of course here, the crossbar lock is completely ambidextrous. You just won't be able to carry it on the left side the same way you would carry it on the right side. Action, this one's a little bit slower than some versions of these that I've used. It might be the coating itself needs a little bit of polishing or wearing in as you flip it a few times. It's getting a little bit better as we start here, but yeah, you see what I mean. Not too worried about that breaking in though. You see that not too uncommonly with black DLC stuff. Really finely put together, made in Texas, very cool. But of course, Tactile Knife Company got their start as a pen company, Tactile Turn. And we see some periodic seasonal releases in addition to their standard lineup. I really like the color on these. It's the limited edition Nitro Golden Brown Cerakoted pens. $149 for this, which is one of their side click models in the short variant. Really nice texture, really nice colors, has a bit of kind of that vintage vibe. If you're the kind of person that likes things in like worn leather and patinaed brass, this is going to fit in really nicely with that sort of thing. Click for the pen and side click to release or retract the little pen part of the pen. What's the insert, the refill? Come on, David, get with it. The refill in this one is the Schmidt Easy Flow 9000. So all of your Parker style stuff should fit in there, no problem. Different sizes of pen take different refills, so keep that in mind. Next up, Chris Reeve, the Sebenza 31 in large with black canvas inlays, now with the Insingo blade shape MagnaCut steel. Very cool. This is kind of the quintessential hard-working, classy, super refined knife.
That works.
That works. 3.6-inch blade, a hollow grind on these knives, keeping the edge itself thin. MagnaCut, of course, brings some toughness, or a good amount of toughness, to the table. So it's going to withstand, lateral stresses pretty nicely. It's going to hold an edge a good long time, and of course, it is stainless too. Nice hat trick that no other steel really pulls off in quite the same combination of the three, which is always nice. Blasted handles with the not the glass blast. This is more their sand blasted texture. If you are familiar with their different types of textures, gives it a little more texture, a little bit more grippitude.
Yes.
Same thing with the micarta handles. They give you a little bit extra thickness to hold on to versus the non-inlaid versions. Typical Chris Reeve action. It is slow and deliberate, yet quite smooth. And it locks up like a bank vault. Not to use the overused phrase, but there you go. I said it. So sue me. Fight me in the comments. They're awesome knives. Next up, the Viper Keeper 2. I was sad when they discontinued the Keeper, so I was glad when they brought it back, yet with a change to it. Prices on these start around the $178 mark for G10 handles. This one right here is about $214 with a stainless steel infused carbon fiber that looks almost like wood grain. It's very cool. 3 3/4-inch blade, Elmax steel, full flat grind, very acute tip, great for tactical uses. I would say this is kind of a big hand filling tactical knife. You can see the contouring there, the thickness to it gives you a solid grip. You've got the thumb ramp here and the index finger guard to push forward against in a sort of a dagger styling, and you can even use that as a pocket opener, kind of like a Leatherman Wave. If you angle that towards the back hem of your pocket so that you catch this on your hem, draw it from the pocket, and it does that, which is cool.
Emerson Wave.
What did I say?
Leatherman Wave.
Leatherman Wave. Hey, they're both waves.
I gotta see that happen though.
That's funny. You could probably rig that up with some inserts in the blade cutout in those. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. Here's the cool thing about it, though. What are they calling this? I should call it the right thing. It is a liner lock with the ASLS, the automatic safe lock system. There is essentially, can you see that? This little slider right there, that when the liner lock engages, this springs up into a slot that keeps you from disengaging the liner lock. To do it, you have to actually pull down and then push out. May seem a little fiddly, and the first time, yeah, a little bit, but I quickly got used to this thing. It's very natural. It's just a little bit different than what you're used to. I mean, it works great. You can see how easily that's working right there, and it gives you just an added degree of peace of mind, an added degree of safety as well, which is always important. There you go, very cool. Other details, crown spine, reversible tail-mounted pocket clip, keeping things nice and deep. I almost wish on this being such a tactical thing that they didn't go as deep carry, even though I like deep carry very much, and I like this style of deep carry even mucher. Anyway, very cool knives. Check them out. Next up, we've got the REVO knives, which is, of course, partly run by the same folks who run BRS, who are very famous for their ballad songs. Now we have a REVO Valley. This is the Nexus. You've seen this before. We've just got some new colors in. This milled gold aluminum is really cool looking. $211 and some change for this 4.5 inch 154 cm blade. The handles themselves feel super solid, and we all know, channel regulars at least know, that this is my one move. This is the only bally flipping I can do, but it does help me feel and evaluate how nice a bally's flipping system works, and this is super smooth. Just taut. It's not so fast that it's going to go running away from you when you're doing your flipping with it, but it's great. I don't know how else to describe it. It's washers in there. I think it's washers. It's not ball bearings in any case. Check them out. We've also got a few other colors, as well as some milled versions with two-tone coloration. That's what I was going for.
Sure. Check
them out at the link below. Next up, new versions of the MKM Campo. You saw our exclusive Campo 8 last week with burlap scales. Now we have the Campo 7. There's also a Campo 5, I believe, as well as new Malga versions sporting MagnaCut blade steel. As mentioned, it is a very tough steel. It holds an edge a long time, and it is quite stainless. Very cool combination of features, and real cool on a knife like this, which is, of course, a more premium alternative to stuff like the Swiss Army knives out there. 2.65 inches, full flat grind, stonewash finish, awesome. The Campo series on the back side has a corkscrew and a 3D Phillips screwdriver, which is always nice. We've got the fork on this front side, as well as your can opener and your bottle opener and your scissors. Scissors is... Why could I not think of the word scissors, Thomas?
Two knives stuck together.
It's almost lunchtime. Maybe that's what it is. Is it lunchtime where you are? Anyway. Canvas micarta scales available in black, green, or natural at this point in time. Check them out. Very cool. Let's throw some fixed blades in. We haven't looked at enough fixed blades lately. We've got a big batch in from Dawson Knives recently, including the Gatekeeper Bowie. Really cool. 9.5 inch MagnaCut blade. We've already talked about why MagnaCut's cool. I'm not going to do it again. That's a lot of MagnaCut. You don't see they make bigger knives than MagnaCut too, actually. They make MagnaCut swords if you're interested. You can check those out. But this is 9.5 inches long. You've got a saber height hollow grind on there. Maybe not my first choice for splitting wood or chopping, but does take the weight down, and there is, like I said, plenty of toughness in MagnaCut steel to withstand shock and vibrations, even though it is thinner, which is going to make it cut better too, of course. $785 for these big bad boys, which is not surprising given the cost of working big pieces of particle steel like this. G10 handles, black and gray. We've also got another version of this in black and red. What do they call this blade finish? I never remember. Arizona copper finish. It looks really cool. If this is too rich for your blood, there are plenty of more affordable knives that we have in our newest batch. Link in the description, of course. MagnaCut knives there, starting at, well, let me find out instead of just guessing here. Shall we do that?
That'd be a first.
See all. I'm at the Dawson Knives page. I'll click the see all button, then I'll sort it. Price a little too high. And $220 for the least expensive MagnaCut Dawson right now. But it's not as wicked as this one, is it? Carbon fiber patterned kydex for the sheath. You've got two belt loops right there, standing off on posts. Haven't checked yet to see if these are Tech Lock style spacings. Doesn't look like it here. Let's check out a small Tech Lock. Maybe. You could probably get a Civivi T clip to work on this if you want something a little bit different. So there you go. couple more fixed blades, and these are some new colors of some previously existing models. The ZT 0006, now available all blacked out. $320 for this. It's kind of a hybrid of survival knife. Well, I always say survival knives is kind of a hybrid of a combat knife and an outdoor knife, and yeah, you get that with this. So there you go. 6-inch blade, 3V steel, plenty tough, holds an edge a good long while, not really super stainless. So compared to the stone-washed versions of this black coating will help prevent accidental rust or corrosion a little bit better. So there you go for that. G10 handles, full tang, screwed in butt cap there at the back, giving you a hammering surface if you need to. Nice neutral shape to the handles, given that they are just straight, essentially. I love the geometry on the blade. You've got almost a full flat grind, almost 3/16 of an inch thick as well. Not, is that right? Actually, hang on. Micrometers are failing me here. Yeah, we're about 3/16 of an inch thick, so I was right. The only thing I would personally change if I were going to use this as an outdoor knife is to grind down the guard here on the back so you can kind of get around that a little bit better. But it's not too obtrusive. It's not so big that it prevents some of those other grips. I just think it might be a little more comfortable otherwise. But this makes it work a little better in tactical roles as a trade-off there. You do have 2 holes in the hilt as well if you wanted to use those as lashing points. So you've got that as an option too. Very, very cool knives. Cool to see a new version. Kydex sheath as well. Simple. Tech lock will work on this if you want, but it does come with a standard belt carry with an extra snap for extra security. And lastly, we have a new version of the Benchmade Meatcrafter, reintroducing the CPM 154 bladed versions with the rubber overmolded handles, or Santoprene if you want to get technical. $180 for this. And now with the green handle kind of taking the place of the orange handled versions, which were in the lineup previously. Makes a great hunting knife. I mean, this is a bigger butchering style of hunting knife rather than a small skinner, but it is built for those long sweeping slices. Full flat grind, crazy thin, little bit of flex to it. Not a crazy amount, but just enough. Great even if you're not taking this outdoors, using it as a hunting or a fishing knife. Good knife for the kitchen, quite honestly. Breaking down big cuts of meat is the same types of cuts you're going to be doing, whether you're going to do it on a cutting board at home or on a field of grass or sticks and leaves out there in the dirt. Very cool. Good for gifting season too, actually. And it comes with this bolt-around sheath. No belt attachment hardware is included, but you do have versatility with this slot and hole pattern for pretty much any kind of aftermarket belt accessory. There you go. Well, that's all we've got for today. Make sure to let me know what you thought of the knives in the comments and to get your hands on them, whether for yourself or someone else, because it is the season after all. Check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. And while you're there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because when you buy one of these knives today, you'll be able to get some free money to spend on a future one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, and that's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.
Subscribe.
Oh yeah, do all that too. Yeah, thanks.